I'm making so much money. What's going on? I can scale up quick. I bought loads of funded accounts and I started blowing them. And I kind of realized the whole reason for me doing well at the start was the whole reason I did badly near the middle part. What am I missing? In terms of trading, we always find that we're missing something. Why am I not scaling up fast enough? Why am I not doing the things I should be doing? Why is my routine not great? However, all these things are holding you back from actually unlocking your potential and going further with your trading rather than being stuck at a standstill. And it took me a long time to get this. Okay, there's so many concepts out there. There's ICT, SMC, everything. But why is it that the most simple things work out well for the most amount of people? I often find that I'm always looking at, oh, this new fair value gap thing, or this new order block. If the order block and the fair value gap are touching, this one box is where I should aim for. However, I do find that I miss a lot of my setups when I'm trying to refine down everything to such a small level. And even when I find that level, it's not guaranteed to win. Nothing is guaranteed to win. You are going to lose. If you have a stop loss, you are going to hit that stop loss eventually. It's probabilities. So how can we develop ourselves into a person that stops learning at a point? You realize, I know the strategy I'm learning. I know everything about it. So why am I still learning? Why am I trying to add to a strategy that I know works? I've backtested it. I've forward tested it. I've proven it. But I've taken one loss. I cannot willingly accept that loss. So now I'm going to go out and revenge. I'm going out and I'm going to try and get back that one loss. However, last week you made 10%. This week you lost 1%. But then you ended up losing the whole 10% from last week, but you couldn't accept losing 1% on one day. You can't be short-sighted with trading. With everything in terms of life and in terms of your career, your goals, you have to have an open mind, and you've got to understand that you're going to have drawbacks. In terms of a job, you may not get that promotion that year. In terms of a job, you might get fired, you might get laid off. It's the same thing with trading. You can't expect to be always going forward without taking even like half a step backwards. You're going to blow a funded account. You're going to lose a live account. You're going to lose a lot of money. However, everything that you're expecting to happen will happen, just not right now. So if you're starting out and you're thinking, oh, can I make money in 6 months? To be fair, I did. However, that kind of ruined me in my 7th, 8th, and 9th month because I was thinking, why am I making so much money? What's going on? I can scale up quick. I bought loads of funded accounts and I started blowing them. And I kind of realized the whole reason for me doing well at the start was the whole reason I did badly near the middle part. And now I'm over a year in and I've gained back the position I was in before. It took a lot of effort, it took a lot of time. However, I was trying to add things. So I started losing. But I wasn't losing because of my strategy. I was losing because I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't understand my mental state. It's very easy and common cope to say, okay, my psychology is the reason I'm failing. However, that's not entirely true. You can't blame everything on your psychology because what is that? Your psychology? The way I think? The way I feel? The way certain things happen to me and the way I act from that? You can't just say, oh, I lost all my accounts today because of my psychology. That's weak. If you're going to journal, you journal properly. You say, okay, this thing bad happened today. I lost someone that I cared about. And instead of taking time away from the charts and not seeing my setup, I wanted to make some money to prove to myself that I can, feel something. And that's when the losses come in. The losses creep in when doubt sets in your mind, or fear, or worry, or loss. So if you know that trading isn't a get-rich-quick scheme, but then you're still trying to feel something, I'm not telling you to be some emotionless robot. However, you've got to understand that with all good things, they take time, and your emotions aren't just going to go away from the get-go. They're going to take time to go away. But then you won't ever feel like a robot. You're still going to have human emotions. Say you're floating $1,000. The next year you're floating 10,000. Next year you're floating 100,000 because you're scaling up. The emotions you feel in those moments are going to be different every time. The first time I made like 100 on a trade, I was like, oh my God, this feels amazing. I was working a full 9-hour shift for this. And then I made my first 1,000, my first 2,000, my first 5,000. And all those feelings felt different. The first 10,000 feels like the craziest because you feel like I'm doing something. However, just making money doesn't change everything for you. People say the first payout isn't like life-changing and stuff like that. I agree and disagree because I feel like it does change your mind in terms of I believe this is possible. I believe I can do this. I believe this can happen. I believe this can work. That is the most important thing. But your whole life you're trying to prove something to someone else. I often find that in my family, a lot of them say to me, "You're not going to do very well in trading. It's not a real thing. You can prove me wrong though." But I don't need to prove anyone wrong. I need to prove myself right that I can do this and I can make something of myself and build something. Why am I trying to prove someone else wrong? Why is my dream proving someone else wrong? That is the wrong way to live. And you're living to please someone else, or you're living to make someone else happy. That is not how we should live as people. And you're never going to be successful that way. However, if you did everything in the way that you should be doing, you followed God's teachings, you followed your plan, you ate good, you worked out, you tidied your room. All these things I was lacking in because I was thinking, what am I doing this for? I'm getting told it's not going to work out. I should just go to uni. I should just give up. When I seen it works, I've already made payouts. So I don't get it. A lot of the time you are left wondering, how can I fix my psychology? How can I fix my mind? Often the environment we find ourselves in as young men, young women in trading, especially, or young in business, you find that a lot of people have things to say at the start. And when it starts working, they're saying, oh, it won't last long. And when it finally works, they're like, oh, teach me, you got lucky. Well, it's quite sad to see that no one's ever happy for you because it's not them. And it will never be them because they're too busy focused on what other people are doing rather than themselves. The biggest things I take away from everything I've said so far is you can't let other people's feelings and emotions towards you control the way you act on the charts, the way you act in life. I'm not going to pretend I'm some wise person, but from working for over 2 years, working 5 a.m. shifts to 2 p.m., 9-hour shifts, working even at nighttime, I've often found that I was struggling so much to be someone I wasn't meant to be, rather than if I actually just focused on being the man I was destined to be, it would have come a lot quicker. And then through my journey, I've been posting TikTok videos, I started posting YouTube videos, and I saw a lot of success with that. Recently, it slowed down a little bit, and I've been wondering why is that? But I've got to understand that a lot of these things have happened to me very quickly. I've gained a lot of followers, traction, money, funding. Everything's happened quite quickly. So I don't expect to have like a slow down. But then when it happens, you're like, what's going on? Why am I slowing down? However, it's quite common for that to happen. You're going to have areas in your life, or you're going to have drawbacks where you're thinking, what's going on? Why am I not progressing? However, you have to become a whole different type of person to progress. And I've found that with my life especially, I'm struggling with keeping my room tidy while also working because my office is in my bedroom. So it doesn't really help me. And I'm thinking, what do I do about that? Do I get an office myself? Like an extra 300 a month, does that really matter to me that much? However, all these little expenses or big expenses can really help you for trading and scale up. So that's where I'm stuck at right now. And I feel like when I'm posting my gains on social media or posting my losses, it gives people a real idea on how it's like to be a trader. However, I do feel like, okay, well, I made £1,000 in the payout, 2,000. But is that where I want to be? Am I trying to show people this is what I'm doing, this is how much money I'm making? I don't really know. I was going to take a break, to be honest. But then I kind of realized there's a lot of people out there that are struggling in a similar situation that want some clarity. And I feel like I'm quite a good character to give clarity to people because of my age and also my experience.